Good evening and welcome to today's edition of Foodocracy India. And today I'm going to take you to Kochi, or a little sort of suburb adjoining Kochi in Kerala, which is called Chittoor. Now, Foodocracy India, for those of you who are joining here for the first time and who might not know, is a series which I started to talk about my favorite food experiences across the country. And not just mine, I encourage you to do so as well, and use the hashtag foodocracy, hashtag foodocracy India, and talk about your favorite food experience across the country, whether it's at a street food joint or a family run place, or like today a toddy shop, and use whichever social media you're comfortable with, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, video, photo, writing. Just go there and spread the love, because these are tough times, but I think that we need to spread the love for food, and also perhaps express a bit of the gratitude to the people who have fed us so well over the years. In fact, that's the idea behind the term Foodocracy India. It's a play on the word democracy, and it's where India eats. Now, I do this as a podcast series, so I'm going to later record it and save it on my other social media channels. So I've got folks like Diganto or Pujan, for example, who are saying hi and giving comments. Pujan wants me to show a bit of Goa the next time. So thank you very much. I'm afraid I will not be responding to comments anymore at this point till the end of the podcast, so that the flow doesn't break. Now, what I decided to do this week in Foodocracy India is to go to comparatively smaller towns. Now, you might get a bit upset if you're from Kerala and say that, what do you mean Kochi is a small town? Because it's not. In fact, it's one of the, I think, the top metros, if I remember right, the top 8 metros. But you can blame it on two things. One is the fact that I'm from Mumbai. Well, it's been my home for the last 20 years, and Kolkata before that, which are rather big cities, and I'm a bit of a big city person. So on that context, Kochi might seem a bit small. And more than that, actually, today I was going to talk to you about Vizag, and a place which I'd gone there. Then, like I have doing many times during this podcast of late, I changed my idea when I made lunch. And let me show you what I made for lunch today. So this is what I made. I was a bit tired of non-vegetarian meals which we've been having, and we're going to have that again. So I thought I'll take a little bit of a break and have something vegetarian. So I looked around the kitchen and saw what was there, and I saw there was potatoes, of course, but I wanted to avoid that. But there was red and green bell pepper, and some fresh carrots and green chilies. So I looked around, I saw coconut milk, and my wife Kainaz had bought a Punjabi Madras curry powder. So I said, chalo, that, and I took out some coconut oil and decided to make a completely freestyle Keralite vegetarian stew. Is this authentic? Well, I made my first trip to Kerala only last year during Christmas, during this Christmas, last Christmas, whatever you want to say it. And I had a taste of the stews over there. And what I was told is that in Kerala there are more than 150, if not more, varieties of stews, depending on which part of the state you're from, which community you are, what social class you are, what religion you follow. So maybe this thing which I made would sort of fit in close to maybe one of those 150 stews. But when I made the stew, which really made me very happy. In fact, years back, once when she had to write something for my bio, my wife Kainaz, she actually said that he is his favorite chef, and well, that's in a way true. I've been enjoying cooking during the lockdown, and I did rather enjoy the meal, and then decided that let me take you to Kerala today, and Vizag can wait for another day, maybe this weekend. And I know that this question is going to come up very soon during the podcast, as it happens everywhere. So that's Baby Loaf, our cat, and I know that most of you have joined, are more interested in seeing him than you are in me, and I don't blame you. So would I be. And well, that's Baby Loaf. He sort of slept before lunch. He woke up when we were having lunch, joined us, and had his own lunch because he won't touch anything vegetarian, and then came back and took a nap after lunch, as did I. But I woke up after 10-15 minutes and just published a blog post which is about how we've been repurposing meals and leftovers and having some fantastic meals during the lockdown. Baby Loaf is still sleeping, and let's see if he wakes up during the podcast. He just got up and did a little stretch. Now, I must admit that this trip during the last Christmas was my and my wife Kaina's first trip to Kerala, which might seem a bit surprising to you if you're especially joining in from other parts of the world, if you're not Indian, because after all, Kerala, Rajasthan as in the Golden Triangle, and maybe Goa to an extent, are the parts which are considered to be the most touristy in India. And of course, Keralite the food is considered to be really fabulous. Now, there are a couple of reasons for this, or maybe one. We've grown up in India in the 80s and 90s when the society was shut, and of course I was born abroad, and we've been brought up in middle class families, and I think that mentality lies with me even now, where like anything which is international is more aspirational. So when my wife started going on our holidays, we decided that whatever money we could put, we would always put it on international holidays rather than local. And the thing is that Kerala has many lovely hotels and cruises and stuff like that. And we like the good life when we are staying somewhere, while we like food which is more grunge. And when we did the math, it just seemed that you could go abroad at similar prices to what you'd go to Kerala for. And the Kerala trip never really happened. That's typical of many Indians, I'm embarrassed to say, but I think that we are slowly awakening to understand our own bounty better. And they do call Kerala God's own country. It's very progressive in terms of tourism. It had a terrible flood a couple of years back, but the state has bounced back. And I must say that I was not a complete stranger to Keralite food, and that's thanks to living in Mumbai. So I was introduced to, in fact, there's a place called Sunny in Chembur, which is very famous for its beef fry and parota. I've never been there, but I've been to Deluxe in Fort and had the lovely vegetarian sadhya meal, as well as the mutton and beef fry and parota, and the fish fry and the fish curries and the rasam over there. In Sneha in Mahim, again, I had the lovely buff masala made with buffalo and parotas. I had in fact recommended it, and it won an award in the best buff and beef category in the Asian Chowster Food Awards a few years back. That was just when beef was banned in Mumbai, so it was a bit of an funny coincidence, an unfortunate coincidence perhaps, but whatever. Then very recently I got to taste some lovely vegetarian Keralite food by a lady who goes under Thalasari Girl. Is her handle on Instagram, and she's a chef, and she's been doing these weekend Sunday pop-ups, and she sent some food which was really lovely. So when I went to Cochin finally end of last year, it was not that I went as a stranger or a complete novice to Keralite food, but of course one wanted to sort of experience the food in its core. It was a very short trip. It was just about a couple of nights. It was thanks to the folks at the fairly newish Grand Hyatt Bolgati at Kochi, which had opened, and I was working on a project with them, so as an endorser. So I'd gone over and we spent a couple of nights over there. They'd invited my wife Kaina's as well to spend Christmas, and we had a very lovely holiday there for a couple of nights. And I did go to Kochi a bit with O'Neill Sabu, who's probably joining in, but this is not really about that. This is about the experience which I had the day after we landed. So we landed at night. There's something to do with Kochi airport. I don't know if that's fixed now, but at that point flights were only landing in the evening. So we landed in the evening, reached pretty late, then settled down into the hotel. And Mr. Shrikant, who's the general manager of the hotel, he and his wife welcomed us for dinner, and we had a very nice time. They're Bombayites, so we got along like folks on fire. If that's a house on fire, not folks on fire. Well, the next morning I met Shana and Shana Nazareth, who's in the marketing team of Grand Hyatt and who was my client contact. So I met her for breakfast, and we had some lovely egg roast and appams for breakfast, and they do some very nice Keralite food at the hotel. And then she took me out in. So they have these various experiences at the hotel at the Grand Hyatt to give their guests an idea of the feel of the place, and of the various experiences which are there. There was shopping, adventure sport, fishing, this, that, whatever. But what appealed to me was, or what they said was a toddy shop experience. So we said, okay, let's take that. And they have a sort of semi-private boat, and we took that and we set off. So there was me, Shana, and there's a gentleman called Mr. Balu, who was probably from the travel agency who sort of owned the boat. And the three of us set off after breakfast in the morning. And Kaina said nothing doing. It was her holiday, and she said that she was going to like spend some time in the room, the lovely room, and then wake up late. And that's what holidays are meant to be. I was the one on work. But let me show you how work was. So this is when we were setting off from the Grand Hyatt, and that's an example of the houseboats. And then we went further down, the lakes and the back lakes, and this is what you see here is an example of the Chinese net, which is there in the backwaters, and this is a mechanized one for catching fish. And we were going down the rivers and backwaters, and I've seen this in food and travel shows. I mean, they cover Kerala in every possible food and travel show. Any international food show anchor has gone to Kerala. But to experience it oneself, and just gently going down the backwaters, and when you're sort of sleepy, you're lazy, you had a nice breakfast, and again to quote the Eagles song, it is all about that peaceful, easy feeling, and seeing the the buildings go by, the city go by, and then the topography change, and you're seeing more of coconut trees, and you're seeing little colorful houses and the fishing nets and more boats crossing by. And that was such a different world. I mean, they call it God's own country. I felt it was my own country at that point. So we went and we reached finally this palm grove, and we did the touristy bit. So there was that gentleman which you see over there. His name is Mr. Vijayan, as a famous footballer who used to play in the Calcutta League, and he was the I am Vijayan, who was the captain also of the Indian football team, if I remember right. So this gentleman is also Mr. Vijayan, and for the last 60 years or so, he's been toddy tapping. So what he does is that we went to someone's house where there was a toddy grove, a palm tree, and he climbed up, and he sort of got the toddy sap which was collecting from the morning, and got it down. So now part of that experience is to see this person go up, collect the toddy, get down, and have fresh toddy. Now there are two things about it. No, it's a lovely initiative, and I must say that even the house where we went to, it was someone's house, and there was a clean toilet, which is very important when you're taking people from like a 5-star hotel and international tourists and all of that. And I'm sure that people would be enthralled by this. I won't say that I wasn't, but don't forget that I've grown up in Kolkata. So I've grown up in Kolkata where there are coconut trees, and I've seen people like Mr. Vijayan go up and climb and get the coconuts down. It's not easy work. It's very dangerous work. It takes a lot of skill, but it's just that it's not something which one hadn't seen before. I live in Mumbai, and I live in a lane which is full of trees, and there are coconut trees as well, and gulmohar trees, and on and off down our road I see people climbing up and getting coconuts or nariyal from there. So I mean, it was nice, but I don't think it was something which woke me up. And the other thing is about the toddy. So listen, a few years back I'd gone to Lucknow, and I had bhang over there, and that knocked me out, and don't even try that if you're not used to it. I was hallucinating, had to be hospitalized, and after that I've always been a bit wary of, and of course toddy is alcohol, it's not narcotic, but I've been a bit wary of any heady substance which I'm not too familiar with, and I must also say that the last 2 or 3 years I've sort of lost my interest in alcohol, so I'm not that interested. It doesn't excite me. So I had a few sips of toddy just to see how it was, but I was in no mood to see what it did to me, and you should try it. It's locally produced fermented alcohol, and the thing is you can't have toddy outside of Kerala, because what they told me is that it has just a shelf life of 1 day. So you need to go to Kerala to have it. And don't go by me. Listen, I'm not an alcohol person, but nowadays, but you should go and try it. Now that's the thing I liked about Shana, that while Shana had a job, she was from the marketing team of the Hyatt, and the entire idea was for her to sort of showcase the hotel or what the hotel does. But she was also one of the sensible marketing people, because sometimes the hotel folks tend to, or tourism folks or whatever, they tend to push down things on you even if you're not interested. But Shana was not like that. So Shana sort of figured out, and I told her even earlier in the conversations that I'm interested in local food and things like that. So suddenly she looked at me and said that, do you want to go to a toddy shop? So I said, what happens in a toddy shop? So she said, there's of course toddy, and there's food. And I've seen toddy shops in maybe Anthony Bourdain's shows. It was his birth anniversary yesterday. Rocky and Mayur's, of course. So I said, is there time? Because we also had a lunch scheduled in the hotel. And she said, of course there is. And then she spoke to Mr. Balu, and they said, decided something between them. And then we were in the boat again, and we were going back down the backwaters. So basically the boat was a bit of a private mini bus for us. So that's Venice for you in a much larger scale. So we went down the river, and a bit further down, and then we stopped at one place, and it was almost like a bus stop sort of thing, but it was a riverboat stop, and we got off. And what I saw was that at the entrance there was like benches over there, and on both sides of the benches there was a whole lot of young men sitting over there, young college folks, or maybe after that, or stuff like that. And here we are getting all romantic about the backwaters and nature and this, that, and stuff. All these young guys were on their phone checking what was happening, and probably if I lived over there, I would be doing that, because sometimes you get immune to the beauty surrounding you. But well, that's what they were doing. But Mr. Balu knew what we had to do, so we got off, and the three of us got into an auto rickshaw, and we drove down, and for a bit, and the roads which we drove down reminded me a bit of this place called Basdoni in Kolkata, which is where we stay, and the Bijar Opar. So there's a khal, or small river, so across that where my granny stays, which is still slightly rustic and yet urban. And in a way, this part reminded me of that. And well, there is a lot of similarity between Bengal and Kerala. We've had communist governments at various points. We love football. We love fish, so for them it's probably more of seawater than freshwater. I'm not too sure about that. We in Bengal, we try to take pride in our intellectual abilities, but Kerala is a state which has 100% literacy. I don't think Bengal's achieved that yet. But there's a lot of similarity between the two states, and I saw that between Basdoni and where we landed. And where we had landed was a place called Chitoor, said Shana to me. So Chitoor is on the outskirts of Kochi. So in a way, then it's fair to say that this is a Foodocracy India broadcast on Kochi, but it's actually Chitoor. So in a way, like Basdoni is, but Basdoni is a part of Kolkata. I'm not too sure about the pin codes on that, but it doesn't matter. So we went, and we were in the auto for a bit, and then we got off in front of this building, and let me show that to you. And they said that this is the Chitoor Toddy Shop, and you can see a bit of that picture there. So it was a single building, plaster peeling off, and on top of that, I think I'm hiding the signboard, but it said something in Malayali, and then Toddy Shop below that. So I asked Shana, what is the name of the place? So what Shana and Balu said is that these toddy shops don't really have a name. They're just, each locality in Kerala and across Kerala has a local toddy shop, and it's just named after that. So in this case is Chitoor Toddy Shop. Back in Calcutta, if Basdoni had a toddy shop, it would be Basdoni Toddy Shop. Bandra, where I stay in Mumbai, if they had a toddy shop, it would be the Bandra Toddy Shop. Though Bandra has this culture of auntie bars, and you should check my friend Mohit's blog, Chowder Singh. I think he's recently written a post on that. And so from what I understood from folks later, that these toddy shops are run by members of a union, and it's almost given as a lease to people, if I'm not right, if I'm not wrong. and they run this for a particular time. So it's not that there will be a huge history to the toddy shop, or it was invented, founded at so and so time, or nothing like that. It's just it's all about just the food and the experience. There's not too much of a backstory to it. I think sometimes we obsess a bit too much about the backstory and the history, and stop enjoying the present in the moment. So let me show you what I saw the moment I entered the toddy shop. So there were a lot of men. In fact, it was only men who were eating there. Shana was the only woman. But when Shana walked in, everyone was nonplussed. It's not that anyone looked up specifically at her. And as Shana explained, most of them were blue collar folks, and most of the clientele in these toddy shops are blue collar folks. But she said that people like us, middle, white collar, upper middle, whatever, also go in once in a while to toddy shops, as Shana put it rather wryly. That is part of our bucket list, very, very Instagram worthy these days. So there was a section at the entrance where people were sitting and eating, and then just behind that, covered by my PIP, picture in picture, is a kitchen. And there were men cooking over there, and like I explained to you, there were members of the union. So, and if you see these jogs, as we call it in Bengali, or water jugs over there, so on each table is filled toddy. And basically, from what I understood, now I might be wrong, but what Shana and Balu told me is that you pour out the toddy, and they check out the number of glasses you have, and you're charged according to that. What Balu told me, and let me tell you, I've been talking to you about Balu and Shana and all that. Let me show you. So there's Balu in the black T-shirt, who's the person who owned the travel agency with the boat, and that's Shana. She's on Instagram as well, and Shana Nazrat, and with the Grand Hyatt, and who was really showing me around over there, and who loves Kochi, and she's a writer herself. And she was completely at home, and I think the both of them really gave me a wonderful insight to the toddy shop experience. So they told me that you basically pour out toddy into the glass and have it. But Balu warned me. He said that unlike the toddy which we had which we offered at the Palm Grove, or the house we went to earlier, in the toddy tapping experience, which was very fresh and pristine, like extra virgin or whatever you can say. He said that this toddy shop, you are not always too sure of what you get. So he said even someone like me, like him, who frequents toddy shops often, goes to toddy shops to eat, and they wouldn't necessarily try toddy everywhere, which is not a problem for me, because I was interested in the food in any case. And so we placed our order. So Shana and Balu took charge. And I think the way it works is that let me show you. The way it works is that you get a basic thali, and there was red mata rice with it. There was some fried chilies. There was a little pasty dal, which you can see in the central round compartment, which reminded me a lot of the sheddo dal, the dal shukno of Bengal. A couple of fried anchovies, and there was a reddish fish curry with some kokum in it. And that was my first, in a way, Keralite meal, outside of the hotel. And the curry was an eye-opener, because, so far, whatever I've had of Keralite curries at places like Deluxe or, Sneha and places like that, is that the curries and stews in Mumbai are generally, in Keralite places, a bit mellow, or there's Ramania, for example, or Fountain Plaza. All of these are in Fort. I think because in Mumbai we don't probably eat as much spicy food as in the south, so they keep it mellow. But that curry was fiery. Yeah, I had it, and it set my tongue on fire. And I must I must say in public interest at this point that I can't handle too much heat, so or chili heat. So you must take that into account. But it was delicious. This curry, it was delicious, and it made me question everything which I knew about Keralite food till then, and I knew that this is going to be a new experience. And this curry was not really coconutty or coconut milk or anything like that. There was a sharp tanginess to it, which came from kokum, and the chili heat Shana explained was from black pepper. And this is why probably my throat and everything didn't feel that sore, because black pepper is what has traditionally been used in India to spice up food. Like chilies are later. So when I go to I mean, with the Portuguese it came in. So when I go to Andhra or Telangana and have their spicy food, which is so red chili dominant, I can't handle that. But this one with pepper, I mean, of course, it made me perspire, but it was nice food. So you go for the thali, and you order other stuff with it. So we ordered what was on offer. We ordered the mussels, and brilliant. This is brilliant. So the meat of mussels, finely chopped, and has the name of my blog, and tossed with a bit of coconut and curry leaves, and how wonderful it is. Like the meat was of the mussel was juicy, not too overcooked at all. The spicing was mellow, but yet it had a bit of a kick, and you would get the bites of the coconut in it, and the curry leaves, like all sorts of contrasting flavors, which makes you feel like I'm talking about some five-star hotel or some master chef and this, that, and whatever. But you've seen how basic this place is, right? Take a look at the chefs. I mean, these are the people at the people who run that toddy shop, the Chitoor Toddy Shop, and we tried to get them to pose. And while they were very friendly, once the camera came on, they looked rather zapped. Okay, so we also okay, Baby Loaf's getting up and trying around. So we also tried the fish curry, and which was very nice. We tried some chicken. Yes, yes, yes. I was trying to remember what this dish was. So this dish was chicken entrails, as Balu and Shana explained to me, and so there were odd bits of chicken in it. So there was liver, there was gizzard, there was stomach, you know, and it all kidney, spleen, everything, the sphincter. So we talk about nowadays about frugality in food, or zero waste kitchen and all that, but that's always been in India. Like I remember when I grew up in the 90s and late 80s in Kolkata, my mom would send me every Saturday or Friday to buy a whole chicken from the Mazrani market, and she would cook everything on the weekend for our weekend chicken curry. So there would be the stomach, gizzard, spleen, liver, everything would be there, and we would enjoy all of that. When I moved to Mumbai and we set up our own house, we started buying only drumsticks, this, that, whatever. But now we started enjoying it again. And of course, my wife, Kainaz, is Parsi and they love offal. And when I tried this dish, someone's telling me cook kamat that is called chicken parcel. I got to know that. Okay, now when I tried this dish, there was nothing South Indian about that. Because when you think of South Indian food, what do we think? We think of sour, we think of coconut, milk or oil and all that, all those cliches. Well, if you had this chicken parcel, as Cook Kamat says, or what I had at Chitoor Toddy Shop, then it had a feel of a dish which you could get in a dhaba or a highway stop across India. In Punjab, or it reminded me of the Dehati chicken I had had very recently before that trip, on the highway from Ranchi to Jamshedpur, and again on the way back from Jamshedpur to Ranchi, which means like, country chicken cooked with like whole spices and with a lot of passion, and that's about it. And then delicious. You can't get recipes for these things. You can't replicate this sort of stuff. And then pork, and that was fabulous. So I'm a bit conflicted as to which was the star dish of that afternoon. Was it the chicken entrails or parcels, as Cook Kamat calls it, or was it the pork? So the pork was served in the sort of porcelain glasses or plates, which you see in a place called New Martin Hotel in Colaba in Mumbai, which is a very humble Goan joint run by Mangaloreans. And if you see the curry, you won't be blamed. I won't blame you if you think it looks a bit like a vindaloo or stuff like that. But it was again brilliant. So it consisted of pork belly, the way it would be in a sourpotel and Goan food, and the meat was very tender, really good quality in this humblest of places. How excellent was that pork, and the bits of fat in it, and that the curry looks very, very red, but it was not the sort of thing which would make me call for a fire engine. In fact, I had all of this. We took the boat back and went to the hotel and rested. I didn't have to run to the loo or anything like that. This is good stuff. there's a bit of tart to it, a bit of chili heat, a bit of salt, and that unctuous fat bites in every bite. It was so wonderful. It was so wonderful. And I was having it with the red mata rice, but Shana also called in for tapioca, y- because or what they call kappa, because you have to have tapioca with every meal. In Kerala, it seems it's I don't know. Made a Politburo said that, but I must say I didn't really enjoy it too much. That day, and I've had kappa before at Sneha, where I've had the kappa biryani, which they make with buff, and I never really enjoyed it. And I added a bit of the pork to it and mixed it. But there was no beef at that particular Chitoor Toddy Shop that day. Didn't really enjoy it. But the next day at lunch on the Christmas brunch at the Grand Hyatt Kochi, the chefs actually gave me a plate of kappa and beef curry, and then mixed it together and then gave it to me, and that made all the difference because I didn't know how it was to be eaten. So basically, you take the you take the curry, whether it's beef, pork, or whatever vegetarian, put it in the kappa, mash it, mix it, and then put it in the mouth, and that's when the magic happened. No one told me that, but I still that had a very very happy meal experience, as you can see, and that was to me the defining moment of the Kerala trip or that Cochin trip. It was a short trip, but this one ensured that I would be back, and I was so happy. I was so happy, and even those fried chilies were so beautiful, and whatever little you can see of the smile on my face tells you how happy I was at Kochi. This is sort of the list of dishes, and as you can see, it's written in Malayali. Everything is 30, 50 bucks and all that, and the whole meal cost us, three of us ate. We ordered liberally without the toddy, and we had some packaged drinking water, I think. Came to about 600 rupees, and such excellent quality food. I will not call it cheap, and I'll tell you why I won't call it cheap, because it was inexpensive, but it was inexpensive for you and me perhaps. But don't forget that these are places where blue collar workers go and eat, and they go and eat and fuel themselves and then go up for work. Also, it's some toddy to add some fire for their belly. So, sometimes when we go to these places, the Instagram crowd, as Shana would say, then you say, oh, this is a cheap, this, that, whatever. But it's what real people eat, is real man's food. And that's what Foodocracy India is all about. Now, I asked Shana and Balu that what community does the food in the toddy shops of Kerala belong to, because they have many communities over there, and they take a lot of pride in their unity and diversity. And what Shana and Balu both told me is that it's not any community specific, like it's Hindu, Muslim, Christian, everyone will go and eat over there. In fact, if anything, it is the topography of the place which will impact the food. So Balu said that there's one famous, really famous Kerala toddy shop dish which we missed, which was not available, which is the fish head curry. But that's more famous, he said, in Alleppey, which is more, I think, into the backwaters. While they said that in the hilly mountain regions, it's more again meat. It could be pork, beef, rabbit, all of that, and of course there's the basic thali which I told you. And let me once again, since I've been mentioning Shana and Balu so much, so that's Shana in the black T-shirt and Balu in the black T-shirt, and me not in the black T-shirt, and at the Chitoor Toddy Shop, and it was just a few months back. It was this December. It was Christmas Eve, and my first experience of Kerala, my first experience of Cochin, and what a brilliant experience it was. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. I've been screening through and your comments and seeing them, and I've had Diganta talking about his love for Sneha, being a Dada, right? He used to be at the IHM there before. I also told you about Cook Kamath, who said that it's called the chicken parcel. And then CR Vishnu 7 said, go offline and talk to a mirror. Maybe he was a bit sad that I said I won't be, interacting or responding. But you should be patient in life. You shouldn't be so angry. You shouldn't be so angry. See, I'm reading out your comments. Don't be so angry. Food is all about happiness, like Roshan Abbas was saying in the Times Kitchen Tales chat the other day. And thank you, Poojan, who wants me to show parts of Goa which I've not experienced so far. And the next time and I'd love to do that. And I hope you enjoyed the broadcast, because the entire idea of the Foodocracy India broadcast is to sort of introduce you to parts of India which you might not be that familiar with, which maybe I have come across, but there's so much more which I don't know. And I feel that we should, at this time when the F&B industry is going through such a tough time, and everyone is, maybe talk about them and spread the good news and the positive vibe, and share memories of wonderful meals which we have had. And let's not forget that food is all about happiness. So if in this short while, and hello for Foodzilla, if and SK Sayantan, so in this short while, if I have been able to give you a bit of happiness, and if I've been able to take you away a bit from maybe the grind, the daily grind, and maybe any anxiety which I hope you're not feeling, then my job is done. And I'm going to, like I said earlier, I'm going to save this on my social media channels, and you can catch it there also if you couldn't catch it now or you're busy doing other stuff. And before signing off, I want to say hi once again to Shayantan, SK Shayantan, and Sandeep Rao, who's saying please consider doing one on Goa. I'll do lots of Foodocracy workshops, and I know that you'll want to see him. There are many fans of him. So there's Baby Loaf, snug and asleep, and like I said last time, I hope my podcast didn't put him to sleep, and I hope it didn't put you to sleep. But this is Kalyan Karmakar signing off from Mumbai, and I spoke to you about the Chitoor Toddy Shop in today's Foodocracy India experience. I hope it excited you, it interested you to go to Kerala if you haven't before. If you're from Kerala, I hope you felt that I did your state and city a bit of justice, and of course there's lots more to discover, and here's to a time when we can go and discover all of that in God's own country. And till then, we can remember all these happy times and feel and remember all the joy and love which food has given us. So thank you so much. This is Kalyan Karmakar signing off, and catch you soon in the next episode of Foodocracy India. Maybe I'll go to Vizag that time. Thank you, and thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay home as much as you can, and if you're going out, please wear masks. I saw so many people in Bandra yesterday who are not wearing masks. I don't know what you're trying to prove, but it's not safe during the COVID pandemic. So I'm being a bit serious now. Please wear your mask. Okay, bye.